1945, Naples. The entire city went silent, but when the bombs stopped falling, they didn't celebrate its survival, they buried it. They sealed it, and they never explained why. Beneath the vibrant streets of Naples, southern Italy, lies an astonishing network of tunnels and chambers. Naples, an ancient city, rests on a unique foundation of yellow Neapolitan tuff, a soft volcanic rock. This material, formed by the nearby Phlegraean fields and Mount Vesuvius, provided both building blocks and a readily carvable substrate for subterranean expansion. The tuff's natural porosity and relative ease of excavation allowed for consistent downward expansion over millennia. Its structural integrity meant vast underground spaces could be carved without collapse, forming a dense, multi-layered labyrinth that extends for hundreds of kilometers beneath the modern urban fabric. Some sections plunge over 40 meters beneath street level, revealing intricate systems stacked one upon another. For centuries, Neapolitans carved their very existence from this stone, extending their city downwards into the earth, often creating entirely new levels directly beneath existing ones. Today, towering apartment blocks, bustling markets, and grand palazzas of Naples' historic center sit directly atop these voids. The official story is a tidy one. It states these underground spaces began as Greek quarries around 470 BCE. Later, Roman engineers expanded them, constructing the mighty Augustan Aqueduct starting in 20 BCE. Most people believe these tunnels served purely utilitarian purposes, stone extraction, water supply, and basic infrastructure. But the sheer scale of Naples' subterranean world, and its dramatic adaptations through millennia, tell a far more complex story. The underground network was not merely infrastructure, it was a deliberate response to a volatile world, designed for extreme survival. The deliberate nature of many closures, often immediately after periods of intense use, raises questions. The intentional sealing and abandonment of these spaces speak volumes about a hidden history the surface city tried to forget, a past that simply doesn't align with simple quarrying or water pipes. Naples was not just built on the tuff, it was carved from it, creating a foundational, interconnected underworld from its very birth. From 470 BCE, the Greek founders of Neapolis systematically quarried the distinctive yellow Neapolitan tuff using sophisticated tools and techniques. They extracted massive blocks, not merely for foundational walls but for towering temples and robust defensive structures. These were structures like the Temple of the Dioscuri and the original city fortifications, parts of which still underpin modern buildings. The Greek systematic excavations created vast subterranean voids, some reaching depths of 30 meters, which then evolved into early cisterns and rudimentary communication tunnels, often connecting major public spaces. Beneath Piazza San Gaetano, where the ancient Greek agora once stood, modern excavations dating from the 20th century onwards reveal direct links between the surface urban plan and these foundational underground structures, aligning the underground passages with the grid of the city above. But here's what they didn't tell you: the extensive quarrying was not incidental void creation. Such precise quarrying formed an integral, deliberate part of ancient urban planning, demonstrating a profound understanding of their volatile environment and constant need for subterranean resources for both construction and survival. The sheer volume of material removed hints at a dual purpose, building a city above, and simultaneously preparing a sanctuary below. Roman engineers transformed the developing Greek network into a sophisticated, life-sustaining system that stretched far beyond the city itself. The Augustan Aqueduct, also known as the Serino Aqueduct, was completed in 20 BCE under Emperor Augustus. The aqueduct, a colossal engineering feat, transported fresh water 100 kilometers from its source in Serino, from the springs of Monte Terminio. It traveled through intricate subterranean channels, often running parallel for maintenance, and featured inspection shafts every 30 to 40 meters. It supplied not only Neapolis but also the Roman fleet at Misenum, a strategic naval base. A massive terminal reservoir, the Piscina Mirabilis in Bacoli, held an astonishing 12,600 cubic meters of water, demonstrating a level of strategic vision for water management unparalleled for its time. The Roman theatre of Neapolis, constructed in the 1st century BCE near Via Anticaglia, was extensively carved directly into the tough rock, not simply built on top of it. Emperor Nero expanded its grandeur in the 1st century CE, reportedly performing within its walls. Its grand subterranean corridors, dressing rooms, and vaulted passages are still visible today, proving that entire performance venues were integrated directly into Naples' underground fabric. The official record stops here. Such a vast network of hydraulic engineering, along with the construction of elaborate public spaces beneath the surface, speaks to strategic importance far beyond basic utility. It hints at a long-term vision for subterranean life and cultural expression, making these spaces more than just utilitarian tunnels. Centuries of turmoil and devastating disease saw the underground transition from functional infrastructure to desperate sanctuary, reflecting an ongoing need for refuge. Naples hosts extensive early Christian catacombs, such as the Catacombs of San Gennaro, dating from the 2nd century CE and expanded into the 5th, where frescoed tombs still hint at the early Christian community. The catacombs span over 5,600 square meters beneath the Capodimont Hill. They served as a basilica and burial site for Neapolitan bishops and martyrs, including the city's patron saint, San Gennaro. The Catacombs of San Gordioso, developed between the 4th and 5th centuries CE and significantly expanded in the 17th, tell a similar grim story, with macabre wall paintings and a unique system of skull preservation. During medieval sieges, like the 1442 Aragonese siege, when Alfonso V of Aragon breached the city walls, these passages provided crucial lines of communication and retreat. Catastrophic plagues like the Black Death of 1348 and the Great Plague of 1656, which killed between 150,000 and 250,000 Neapolitans in a city population estimated at 400,000, so the underground passages become essential escape routes, desperate storage areas, and even unhallowed mass graves where bodies were hastily interred. The Carmine Aqueduct, largely constructed in the 17th century during the peak of these challenges, further demonstrates continuous subterranean adaptation for city water supply, sometimes incorporating older structures. And that's where the story changes. The underground chambers were not always about grandeur or utility. They became a last resort for survival and remembrance, a grim record of unimaginable suffering that the surface city chose, perhaps out of trauma, to forget, a silence enforced by the sheer horror of their purpose. The extensive ancient network became the only hope for survival in the face of modern warfare. Naples, a major port city, was heavily bombed by Allied forces during World War II, from 1940 to 1945. Over 200 air raids devastated the city, culminating in the Quattro Giorni di Napoli uprising in September 1943. During these terrifying years, hundreds of thousands of Neapolitans, sometimes up to 200,000 people simultaneously, sought refuge in these subterranean spaces, descending daily into the darkness. Many tunnels were quickly adapted, equipped with rudimentary electricity, latrines, makeshift kitchens, and small medical stations to sustain the population for weeks on end. The Galleria Borbonica, originally conceived in 1853 by King Ferdinand II of Bourbon as a secret escape route from the royal palace to the sea, was never completed for its initial purpose. Instead, parts of the Galleria Borbonica's vast tunnel system were adapted into a massive public air raid shelter, offering protection from the relentless bombardments for an estimated 5,000 to 10,000 people at a time. After the war, between the 1950s and 1970s, it served as a judicial deposit for seized vehicles by the Polizia Municipal, some of which remain there today, rusting relics of a forgotten era, piled in dark chambers. No explanation was ever given for its sudden post-war sealing and official neglect, especially considering its proven efficacy as a sanctuary. The Borbonica, a vital sanctuary which saved countless lives, was deliberately closed off for perceived public health and safety reasons, turning its passages into a vast, forgotten time capsule, filled with the echoes of desperate survival and untold stories. The very water systems that sustained ancient Naples later became sources of contamination. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, with rapid urban growth and poor sanitation, illegal dumping in abandoned cisterns and unregulated drilling of wells into the underground aquifer directly contributed to devastating cholera outbreaks. The Great Cholera Epidemic of 1884, for example, decimated swathes of the population and spurred drastic urban renewal projects. Such contamination severely threatened the city's public health, particularly in the poor, densely populated neighborhoods that relied on these compromised water sources. Look closer at the architecture. Beyond public health, the abandoned, humid chambers, with their stable temperatures and perpetual darkness, were secretly repurposed. Farmers leveraged these ideal conditions for illicit mushroom cultivation, growing species like oyster mushrooms, creating an informal, hidden economy beneath the city, operating entirely outside official oversight. You also find an artificial underground lake, accessible through a large cistern in the historic center, fed by natural underground springs. The underground lake was once considered a potential emergency water source for firefighting, demonstrating a strategic utility in disaster planning after devastating fires, but its murky waters now hold an air of forgotten purpose. The timeline doesn't add up. What began as a pristine, life-giving water source, meticulously engineered by Romans, evolved into a dangerous health hazard, then into a clandestine farm, all while parts remained a forgotten emergency reserve. Other sections became hidden pockets of improvised human activity, far removed from any official city plan, showing a constant, unrecorded human presence operating just beneath the veneer of civic order.